Trump fired the rangers at this manatee refuge. But now, quote, after public outcry and 2 court orders, the rangers are back on the job. This is such a stupid way to run a government, right? Random individual disasters manage somehow to get enough attention to often get protested, and then the Trump people find they can't really defend them, and so those things then get partially restored or maybe not really restored, but they say they'll fix them, and they hope people stop complaining. But meanwhile, while people are scrambling to try to fix that mistake they made, these guys are destroying 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 other things all the time. It is a terrible, absolutely ridiculous way to run a government, especially under the name of efficiency, right? I mean, how can it be that the reason we still have people on the job today storing and transporting our nuclear weapons is not because Donald Trump didn't fire them, because he did, but only because, just our luck, the right people found out that he had fired them and made a big enough ruckus about it in time so some of them could be hired back. That is the reason we now have people on the job, keeping our nuclear weapons from prematurely exploding. That's the system now. That's how we're running it. And it's incredibly stupid. But the big problem with that being our system right now is that for some problems, the people who are most affected and most hurt by it are the people who can least make a ruckus. The people who have the least opportunity to see what's wrong, complain about it in a way that is big enough that it's going to get noticed and their complaints are going to be taken seriously. And so somebody's going to do something about it and maybe it'll get reversed. The people who are going to be hurt the most grievously are the people who are least capable of raising a ruckus about what's being done to them.
The MAGA media is flailing. They are struggling, right? Now like we have never seen before to defend the most indefensible and idiotic economic policy we've ever seen from the stupidest person in our country, who went bankrupt 6 times and made his casino fail. Because no, he is not some genius economic mind. And that is exactly what Elizabeth Warren had to say on CNBC this morning, not only ripping into Donald Trump, but ripping into Joe Kieran, the MAGA host who got torn apart and just crumbled in this clip that we are going to check out. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now let's check out this full takedown by Elizabeth Warren.
Let me just say what President Trump said yesterday to some of the Republicans. He talked about how he sees some rebel Republican who wants to grandstand. He says, I saw it today, a couple of your congressmen, I think we should get involved in the negotiations on tariffs. Oh, that's what I need. I need some guy telling me how to negotiate. He says that this hurts his negotiation, as if this is a negotiation that tariffs will eventually go away.
Yeah. What negotiations is Donald Trump engaging in? I want to see the receipts on that, because I'm sure not. What we're seeing right now is that he is creating economic chaos. And look, he has imposed enormous damage on our country. He has proven to all the rest of the world that so long as he is president of the United States, that the United States is an unreliable partner. He also is creating so much domestic chaos that it's going to be a long time before people are going to say, you know what, I am ready to build a factory that'll take me 20 years to recover the costs on. No one wants to invest if they think, okay, today the tariffs are here and my costs will be this, but tomorrow they will be entirely different, and the week after that they could be different again, and the week after that they could be different again. No one invests into that kind of chaos. Congress has a chance right now to step up and say, wait. What we have in this country is checks and balances. And when a president has gone too far out on a limb, Congress has not only the legal authority, but in my view, the responsibility to say, nope, we're reining that back in, because we all work together and all have a responsibility to support the American people and American businesses.
Your point on the chaos is well made. We see that in the futures every morning with what we've been watching with the markets. But our trade and tariffs reporter points out this morning that There's an on-the-water clause that comes with this in the customs release that basically says this tariff isn't enacted until 12:01 a.m. on items that are then leaving the ports from those countries. So anything already on the water is not going to come in with a tariff. Those items will be coming in to the end of May without having a tariff on them. You said you've been hearing from businesses that are already raising prices on this. Are they gouging by raising prices before their own prices go up?
Look, if they simply are passing along increased costs, that very much is a tax on the American people when they do that. But there are businesses that are already saying quite publicly, yep, they're worried, and so they're raising prices now. And this is actually one of my most serious concerns about the tariffs. Once everyone starts talking about price increases, and remember, this started last Friday with Jerome Powell saying that he's very concerned that we're going to see inflation. That is, costs are going to go up across the board for everything that consumers buy. That creates the environment for businesses to be able to say, oh, well, we'll just go ahead and increase our prices now. We will increase our prices more than the cost of the tariffs. And so you get the 1-2 punch of passing along costs from the tariffs, but also price gouging.
You always say that you remember our last conversation. This is almost like part two. Remember our last conversation about price gouging. So now you got another way to say that corporations are doing that. Well, but egg prices came down, inflation came down. It seems like the corporations only gouge when you say they're gouging, and then they're unable to at other times.
So I know you don't want to listen to me on this, but listen to Jerome Powell on this. The example he gave on Friday was from the last time that Trump's tariffs went into effect. And he said there was a tariff on washing machines. No surprise, the price of washing machines went up. But the shocking part is the price of dryers went up as well, even though there was no imposition of tariffs on those. You tell me what that is, except for price gouging.
Trying to figure that out. Unless you have a clothesline, unless you have a clothesline out back, you need the dryer, though, Senator.
Well, you need the dryer, but the price doesn't go up on dryers. The cost of dryers didn't go up.
Growing up.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Good times. Yeah.
Totally. And I love the smell.
I love the way you're changing the subject here. That is an example of price gouging.
They told me we had less than a minute.
They
said we had less than a minute left.
Now they say we can keep it going.
Now we can keep it going.
Now we can keep it going.
I don't want to keep it going.
Good.
No, Senator,
I'll bet you don't.
What are you talking about? That corporate price gouging doesn't exist? That is why we saw the huge inflationary pressures post-pandemic, because companies were more than happy to exploit the regular, bid and expected inflation that came about and use it to juice their profits, which is exactly what happened. Also, defending corporations who are just like trying to steal more of your money? This is like what? A ridiculous person. And I'm glad Elizabeth Warren made it so clear what a bad lie. Joe was pushing by saying, oh, so now you want to change the subject. Now it's very clear that you're a liar. Just absolutely ridiculous stuff. And especially the defense of Donald Trump, too, saying that there's any way that these tariffs could be good for the economy. There's any way that, lowering costs is a great thing. When you're lowering costs by going into a recession, do you know why gas is cheap? Do you know why cars are cheap, potentially? Because people aren't going to have any money soon, right? If you don't have a job, I don't know what the benefit of cheap groceries is. And Donald Trump has been saying this a lot lately. Oh, this is a great economy to buy. It's a great economy to buy things. Yeah, if you've got billions of dollars in cash saved up because you're a giant corporation, but not if you're someone who's living paycheck to paycheck and just lost their job because we have 100 more mics in the White House. These people are ridiculous. I'm so tired of hearing from them. I'm also surprised that this conversation on tariffs has become the stupidest thing our government is doing because we still have Doge, who is being more and more incompetent every day somehow. And Rachel Maddow called that out in a blistering takedown right here.
Trump fired the rangers at this manatee refuge. But now, quote, after public outcry and 2 court orders, the rangers are back on the job. This is such a stupid way to run a government, right? Random individual disasters manage somehow to get enough attention to often get protested, and then the Trump people find they can't really defend them, and so those things then get partially restored or maybe not really restored, but they say they'll fix them, and they hope people stop complaining. But meanwhile, while people are scrambling to try to fix that mistake they made, these guys are destroying 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000 other things all the time. It is a terrible, absolutely ridiculous way to run a government, especially under the name of efficiency, right? I mean, how can it be that the reason we still have people on the job today storing and transporting our nuclear weapons is not because Donald Trump didn't fire them, because he did, but only because, just our luck, the right people found out that he had fired them and made a big enough ruckus about it in time so some of them could be hired back. That is the reason we now have people on the job keeping our nuclear weapons from prematurely exploding. That's the system now. That's how we're running it. And it's incredibly stupid. But the big problem with that being our system right now is that for some problems, the people who are most affected and most hurt by it are the people who can least make a ruckus. The people who have the least opportunity to see what's wrong, complain about it in a way that is big enough that it's going to get noticed and their complaints are going to be taken seriously. And so somebody's going to do something about it and maybe it'll get reversed. The people who are going to be hurt the most grievously are the people who are least capable of raising a ruckus about what's being done to them. And so here we are. Headline, Washington Post. Social Security website keeps crashing as DOJ demands cuts to IT staff. Retirees and disabled people are facing chronic website outages and other access problems as they attempt to log into their online Social Security accounts. The website has crashed repeatedly in recent weeks, with outages lasting anywhere from 20 minutes to almost a day. Even when the site is back online, many customers have not been able to sign into their accounts or have logged in only to find information missing. The disruptions are occurring as Trump's acting Social Security chief and the DOJ team move to lay off large swaths of the workforce. Thousands of Social Security employees have already been pushed out, many in customer-facing roles, others with expertise in the agency's technology systems. The network outages are one in a cascade of blows to customer service that also have hobbled phone systems and field office operations as the workforce shrinks. The network crashes specifically appear to be caused by an expansion initiated by the Trump team. The Trump technology staff did not test the software against a high volume of users to see if the servers could handle a rush. Connectivity issues and bugs with the expanded system have caused the portal that manages logins and authentication for many Social Security applications to go down. That's the Washington Post. Here's the headline in the New York Times. Quote, just a mess. Staff cuts, rushed changes, and anxiety at Social Security. President Trump promised not to touch Social Security, but as Elon Musk's team trims staff and plans that's doing a lot of work there. Trims staff and plans cuts to phone services, the system is groaning under the pressure. And here's the lead. Quote, the line started forming outside the Social Security office in suburban Glendale, Arizona, not long after sunrise. Dozens of retirees and people with disabilities shuffling papers, some leaning on walkers, all anxious to know whether Trump's government overhaul had put their safety nets at risk. When 9 a.m. came, an employee emerged from the building with flyers, asking the crowd to come back once they had scheduled an appointment. One woman yelled, "I've called for days." Another said, "We came from a long ways away." Still another let everyone know they had been handed a load of bunk, though she used a more colorful term. Quote, on April 14th, the Social Security Agency plans to largely phase out phone services for people filing for retirement and survivor benefits or changing their direct deposit information, forcing them to file online or come into the office. Staffing levels at the Social Security Administration were already at 50-year lows, and the departure of so many workers who answered phones and worked field office counters has led to longer lines and phone waits. Teresa Boswell, whose vote for Mr. Trump in November helped flip Arizona, but who found herself fuming outside the Social Security office in Glendale last week, unable to sign up for $1,200 in monthly benefits after she retired from her job processing legal papers, told the Times, quote, I didn't know he was going to pull this. She told the Times, quote, this is a joke. It's not a joke. It's the destruction of one of the core moral and practical functions of the United States government.
It is a government of incompetence. That is really the theme of the Trump administration. Certainly, there's the evil that's present, but it's also the incompetence, and it is just staggering. But we are calling it out every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you.